What's up, good brothers?
What's happening?
How you been, J Mo?
What's happening, man?
I know it's been a couple of weeks since I last talked to you. How you doing today?
Man, listen. I'm all good in the neighborhood. How about you?
Man, I'm great. What's going on, Mo?
I can't complain, man. Can't
Oh,
complain.
DVP takeoff. He bring the heavy hitters in for this week, huh?
Was that you? You the heavy hitter?
Right. Right.
Oh no, J-Mo disappeared from. We don't know where he appeared from, but we see who running the show.
Hey, you don't see that? You don't see that circle behind him? He can
I see
transport, boy. He can transport in and out, man. You don't listen.
Don't get it twisted now. Look, listen. In this universe, some black people survive.
That make all the sense in the world.
Yeah. All right,
Well, it's
gentlemen, what's happening?
It's hump day. I guess we're gonna have some random thoughts today.
Oh, it'd be plenty random with us.
Can't help but be random.
DVP will come back and this place will be burnt to a crisp.
Hey, I'll be the first in line too. Was that random enough?
Right.
And
definitely random. Definitely random, man.
And just to be clear, and I'm putting it out there, I'm blaming you two.
Oh, nice.
Look, it ain't snitching if I'm tricking.
Hey, that's true. And you know what, though, Mark, we can't complain because that's what happened. When you get to them higher levels, you start delegating, and that you delegate everything, even responsibility, man. They did it.
Right.
They did it.
Right. But see, now you can't complain. You can't complain when you leave the house with the kids and you leave the stove on. So when it come back burnt up.
That's true.
They say when the cat's away, the mouse will play.
Yeah.
Yes,
sir. So let's go and jump into it. Let's jump into it. Mo, like you said before we got started, man. What's y'all thoughts on Shannon?
Hey, I just think of that. I forgot who wrote it. I know one of y'all probably know, but that another one bites the dust. Man, God, I don't. Man, listen, it's an epidemic out here, man, and I don't know. Listen, I call it what it is. I ain't no way around it. I gotta call it what it is, man. But I'm seeing a lot of this, man. These situations where, like, so black men and women break up, but I don't see all this extra stuff that go along with the breakup, man. But when it's a white man and woman, man, it's sexual assault, it's lawsuits, it's crazy, man. I don't, man.
Well, look, come on. Let's. Since you threw it out there, Mark, we
gotta get into it.
On the hook. I'm gonna reel it
in. I think it just boils down to the money. Sad, but it's a come up. It's an easy come up. And once you in that situation, and now I got this easy come up, all I gotta do is just say it happen. Now they gonna pay me to be quiet. And it's sad because.
So you think you got?
I think what?
Go ahead, Mark. No,
I think
I'm sorry.
For years, however long it was a consensual relationship.
Okay.
Then all of a sudden, one time, okay, when you come out after one time, good. If it's more than one time, you're a willing participant.
Yeah, that's what they say.
Okay.
And if you're a willing participant to a point where you say, now, I done participated enough, it's done ran its course, now I got to get all I can out of this. If I go ahead and say this happened, I can take the payout and go be quiet. And it happens to a lot of people with money, and not just black athletes, but it's a lot of people with money get caught up in that same situation.
I would challenge you on that, Mark. I would say this, and I would caution everyone to look at it a little bit deeper than the surface. And here's what I mean by that. If you look at the mood in the country and how this administration moves holistically, you'll see that from comedy to social commentary is being attacked. But you'll notice who are the people that are getting knocked off the pedestal. Hannity and his crew, better yet, there are, I think there were 5 Republicans this week who have not only been arrested and charged with everything from child molestation to some other issues. Nothing said. Now let's take Shannon Sharp and let's look now. I'll bring it back in a minute. Shannon Sharp is in the entertainment industry, plain and simple. What he does with his time and who he does it with, as long as it's legal and to your point, it's consensual between adults. Okay. But now, if we turn the table and we look at the elected officials who are doing nefarious things and they don't get targeted, you got to wonder how this guy who's not in elected office is being held to a higher standard than those who we put into office. I know it sounds crazy, but I would challenge everyone to look at it a little bit deeper than just the surface of Shannon Sharp getting fired.
But with the firing, he's not the only person that ESPN let go. They let go about 5 or 6 other people as well. So I don't think that was the main reason, because they let others go. He wasn't just, as soon as he did it, terminated alone. They let about 5 other analysts go as well. So I don't think it was an isolated incident based on this situation that he just paid off.
So look at Joy Reid. They terminated Joy Reid, who had one of the highest rated shows, the Black Girl. They terminated her. And then Colbert, he gets terminated. Why? Because of social commentary. But again, the mood of the country, and again, I'm going to segue somewhere else. It's interesting to me that the effects of the thought process that people don't think that America's a racist country and say that in public, first of all, is a lie. I mean, it was built on racism. But you got a Black United States senator that says America's not racist.
That's crazy.
And I won't call his name. I think you know who he is. But I'm just saying that you have to look at the mood of the country. The mood of the country has completely swung the other way. And to be quite honest, some of the things that this guy is doing, I don't disagree with. I mean, there's the quandary for me. I'd like to come out and tell you, I just absolutely hate this guy. I strongly dislike him. But he has done some things that the Democrats didn't have the balls to do.
When you say that, and this is my thoughts on that, I think the Democrats should take that page out of his playbook when they're in office. Do exactly what you say you're going to do. Don't care about nothing else. And put people in position that's going to push your agenda versus having these super highly qualified people that's going to go against you when they get a chance to.
So here's the thing. Let me just add to that, Joe. Hold on a second, 1 second. And I agree with that, Mark. But you know the thing is, you need to be a Donald Trump in order to do that. Everybody don't have the charisma or character to do that. This guy is somebody that has those attributes that makes people want to circle him and follow him and die on the sword for him. That is the key thing that he has. I mean, even when you guys remember, even back when he took out a 4-page ad for the Central Park 5, who we all know were innocent. We knew then, and we know now, because they all got out of prison, and a lot of them are screwed up, man, because they spent that time in prison. But even when he did that didn't even stick to him. I mean, this dude was you talking about the real Teflon Don? That's the real Teflon Don right there.
To my understanding, that ad was taken out before they were caught.
Exactly. Which is bad.
Which not bad, because I think it was taken out because they really wanted to catch him. Now, for them to pin it on the wrong people, now that is terrible. That's the bad part about it. But with Democrats, we get the same thing every year. We gonna do this. We get in office. We can't do this. Now, it's it. We gonna do this. We get in office. Oh, we can't do it, and we supposed to just go for that. Put people in position, because he got some of the dumbest people in position because all they gonna do is push his agenda, and they gonna go in the direction that he's going. I think that Donald Trump is doing what black people wanted Barack Obama to do. Get in there and be so beneficial to your people. But when he got in there, he got to be so charismatic. He's the first black to do it. He got to move this way. I got to do this. I got to do that. Donald Trump got an office say, I'm told y'all what I'm going to do. I'm going to do it. Let y'all make me stop doing it. Because the court's got to tell him, man, you can't do that. And he's still going to do it. That's what Democrats should do moving forward.
Well, so I would disagree with one part of that.
What's that?
I disagree with bringing less qualified. That I'll never agree with. Now, to the point, to the exclusiveness of people that do have the ability, that you don't have to have a degree in order to be intelligent. Now, that I agree with. You don't have to have a degree to know how to do some things. Now, I would never disagree with that. The problem I have with his cabinet is that they're beyond, some of those guys should be in jail. Some of the things that they're doing is outright criminal. Now, let me digress. This whole thing with the plane that Qatar gave him, that's some gangster stuff. And it's illegal. Constitutionally, it's illegal to accept a gift of that nature, because what he's doing is he's going to turn it, when he leaves office, he's going to turn it over to himself. Now, again, we're about to, that rabbit hole is real deep. But my problem is this. There was an article, and I'll find it for you guys if you want it. What Donald Trump did, first of all, he gave his base a face to hate again. He energized his base. Now, whether you want to call them evangelicals or whatever else, remember there's black evangelicals too. And I had to also remind some people that the original conservatives were black folks. And let me understand, and here's why I say that. The term conservative means to conserve, to save. Well, who had to save originally? We had to save the food because we didn't get it. We had to save money because we couldn't get enough of it. We had to conserve our clothing. So the original conservatives were us, because we knew this is what we had to keep in order to keep going for the rest of our families, or to whatever, to keep going. So that's, let's be clear. So the conservative, black and white, saw in this guy that, to your point, Mark, he said, it's kind of like Dr. Seuss. I mean what I say, and I say what I mean. I cannot disagree with that. However, what he just did with this Medicaid, the red states that voted for him are going to take it on the chin. In Illinois, the best guess is 500,000 people are going to be, I don't know the correct word, displaced is the wrong word, because that's too light. 500,000 people will not only lose health care, they will lose food benefits. Now, let me segue to this. I would say that all of us would agree that there are people out there that don't deserve food stamps, that don't deserve medical assistance, that don't deserve assistance. Agreed. That's a no-brainer. However, in order to fix the system, you'd have to stop it completely, and that's what he's doing. The problem is that in real time, you can't. So theory and practicality are two different things. Would you all agree with that?
I agree.
Yeah.
We've known, even from the research I've done, welfare is woefully out of whack. What did he do? He's taken a hammer to it and he's changing it. Good, bad, or indifferent. In most paradigm shifts, somebody gets hurt. Collateral damage. And there's going to be a lot of it. However, Are there people that deserve it? Those are the ones we got to worry about, because there is no safety net for those who are about to lose it. That's the problem I have.
Yeah. So they just pull the rug right from under you. You know and that's the thing when policies or things change. I don't think they do an impact review. I just call it that. I'm gonna call it impact review because people at the top, man, whatever. I don't care about none of that. You know what I mean? It's almost like I was gonna bring this up too anyway. It's almost like the tax code, right?
Ooh.
People at the top of the tax code, they just upset. It's not gonna really impact their lives. They're upset because they got to give up a little bit more cheddar. People at the bottom, they're not upset. They're angry because this is a life or death situation, man. You keep taking money out of my pocket. You know what I mean? So there's no equity across the board when it comes to these types of things. For example, like taxes, like I'm saying, you can't have a linear tax code and then think, oh, everything's fair. It's a linear tax code, everything's fair. No, it's not. This guy down here make $20,000 a year. Why he got to pay the same amount as you when you make $2 million? That makes no sense. Same percentage when you make $2 million. That makes no sense.
Do you know that under FDR's New Deal, and again, it's not really talked about, on the FDR's New Deal, he taxed the upper 10% at a higher tax bracket.
I remember that. Yeah.
It's a fact.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
And nobody talks about it. The greatest economic growth in the country's history that we know of. Yeah. He taxed the wealthy. So for them to say it don't work, it's a bunch of bull. The problem is who's got the balls to do it. Now, certainly if this guy's got the heart and the balls to do what he's taking the wrecking ball to the social network, social fabric of the country, then I would think, if he really wanted to do something, have, as you say, an impact study.
Yeah.
The problem with the Democrats, and I'll say it, and I've said it to some people that the problem with the Democrats is that they're feckless, they're ballless. I'll just put it out there.
Yes.
That's probably DVP calling you. Get off my phone. It's too late now. Huh? Too late. We got it. The Democrats are feckless. They are seen as giving away everything. And again, who gave them that label? They did. And unfortunately, everybody's fight is our fight. Well, that's not the way it is. Everybody's fight ain't our fight.
Mm-hmm.
Justice Brenner, and I shouldn't have them guys, they shouldn't be justices, said in his newest book that he believed that there were too many laws on the book, and therefore his job, as he said, and I got the book here, was to see that there were no more laws enacted. Now here's a guy on the Supreme Court of the land saying we got too many laws. Well, oh my God, people should be up in arms. At least in my mind,
that's ridiculous anyway, because that mindset alone, I know that guy thinks the world is sitting still, because I'm just going to use this as an example. You got self-driving cars out here. You don't think we're going to need new laws for self-driving cars? Huh? You just use the old book? There ain't going to be nothing in there for a self-driving car.
I would look at it from this aspect. We have too many laws. There's laws on the books that are outdated that maybe should be thrown out, and we update the laws. Because like you say, I was just having this conversation the other day about and it was on the news about the driverless cars. If something happens, do they get a ticket?
Right.
Yeah, right. Who do you write it to?
Right. And so,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, and so in that frame, it makes sense, right? Because there's some laws on the books that don't even qualify anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But
should update the laws, and then maybe we won't have so many.
Well, here's the thing. The Constitution in its original form made no provisions for us. So there's that. But it was written in 1787. This document is now the basis of what operates this country. Then you have moving it to the amendments. Actually, start off with as another document, but we won't. That's another story in itself. So everything you said is correct. And with any society, things have to change. Prime example, when the police departments moved away from revolvers to semi-automatics, man, you'd have thought you were taking these guys' lives away. And I can tell you because I was there during that transition. I mean, I had guys going, we don't need, what do we need? And then after the first couple of incidents, they're like, I like this thing. Let me, So I guess what I'm saying is that the paradigm shift is prevalent in all of everything that society does. The problem is we have to distinguish between practicality, theory, and reality. Do they necessarily meet up at some point? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. But at some point they do intersect, and we have not found that intersection yet. I'm off my soapbox for now.
It's good, man. Stay in your soapbox. We go with that. But hey, let me just ask you guys a question, because this was something we on random topics, so I can bring up whatever I want. But this was a disagreement between me and my wife, and not disagreement.
You were wrong. You were wrong.
well, that's a fact. But let me just tell y'all, so y'all might take my side. Who knows, right? Obviously I was wrong, but it wasn't a disagreement. It was a difference of opinion, I'll say, because as y'all remember when Barack Obama did the bank bailout, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
I'm wondering. So before I tell you the story, I'm gonna poll y'all, because I ain't letting y'all slither away like that. So tell me what y'all think about him doing that. Was that a good thing for, let's say, the citizens? Was that a good thing for the citizens? Let's take it from the citizen perspective. Never mind, not the country for the moment. But was that a good thing for the citizens? Joe,
two words. Wait, 2 words or 1 word? Actually, 3 words. But remember, at the time he bailed the banks out, he also bailed out Fannie Mae.
All of them, yeah.
But it didn't do. I got a book on the housing market, and I'd love to share with you guys that you guys really should read. It talks about how this redlining really started, and there was a particular group that really kicked us in the butt. And it wasn't just, it was in Chicago, it was in Atlanta, it was LA, but it was a particular group. And again, I'll share that with you some other time. But these systems, those same systems that he bailed out, he could have given that or distributed into a social service network better than to give it to them banks, because them banks were the ones foreclosing on us. So no, I thought it was a bad thing. That's the way I looked at it.
What'd you say, Mark?
Yeah, it was bad because it, like you say, piggyback on it. It wasn't beneficial to the people, because they got all their money, but they still was taking the houses. We still gonna foreclose on the houses, even though we got all the money to save us. And that, at the end of the day, it wasn't beneficial.
Listen, he bailed them out, but did they lower their interest rates on anybody's house?
No.
Yahtzee.
Matter of fact, okay, good segue, Joe. Because check it out, I'm gonna tell this story. Good segue, Joe. So here's the situation. This is how it started. This is probably too long for the show, but I'll just throw this out there. But so when the bank bailout happened, y'all know what happened. I'm not going through that detail. But they started calling my house, right? They called my house, and they said, "Sir, you're behind in payments." I just stopped paying, man. I was like, "The hell with this." The interest rates went up, like doubled. Everything doubled. I'm like, I ain't paying nothing. So I said I told my wife, I said, they'll get in touch with us. Don't worry about that. Right. And sure enough, they did. They called, right? They're like, so you ain't been making no payments, your payments. I said, look, I'll make the payments, but here's what I want. I ain't had nothing to do with this bank bailout. I ain't had nothing to do with why my interest rate went from 3.5% to 8%. I had nothing to do with that. I said, y'all put my interest rate back to 3.5%, and I'll start paying again. And so that was my argument. I'm trying to fight with them because I'm like, I ain't had nothing to do with none of that. And y'all know it's business, right? You know, they said no, they said this and that. They said, are you crazy, man? We got you on the hook. You know what I'm saying? We got you on the meat hook, man. We're not letting you go. And so I said, well, y'all ain't gonna get no money. I'm done. And so I walked away from that house. I just walked away. I left, man, because that y'all know that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, you are the only person that had that issue.
Oh, I know. It was happening. I know it was rampant. Matter of fact, I'll tell you this, Marq. There was a guy, my neighbor, you know, me and him, you know, we were cordial, across the street. He told me what he did was he found an investor who was going to buy his house at the value that it was at the current interest rate, right? And allow him to stay in the house, and all they had to do was pay rent. Right. So he didn't even have to move. And then he told the guy, he said, listen, after this is all over, if you want to buy it back, you can buy it back.
Quick
or you can keep renting. You know, and I was like, man, you got that kind of deal. So that's how he got around it. You know what I'm saying? So now he's paying rent instead of a mortgage with interest rate that, you know, was gonna go to nothing. It's going to nothing. You're paying interest going to nothing. Ridiculous.
That's interesting because I could see how they would hold the paper in order to keep. You could refi, but you're still not going to get the interest that the bank gets. I mean, here's the problem: the bank under the Marq bailout, as I call it, Big Buddy Marq's bailout plan. You really don't want to get me started on that guy, but that's again another story. It did not do what it should have done. And, you know, allegedly it was supposed to trigger a buying resurgency, and it didn't. Because again, who's going to afford, or who can afford 8, 9, 10% on a 30-year?
Right.
Yeah.
You know, when you had a 2 or 4, you know.
And Joe, let me just add to that. And the value of your home decreased in half.
Okay.
You know, so anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Well, it's funny because what I had a friend of mine, what he was doing, and I found it very interesting. He said, what I'm doing is I'm buying these houses and I'm using their home equity loans. And I had never thought of that. He refied
that
makes their home equity.
That makes sense.
That's genius. You're a criminal and I love it.
Yeah,
I should have been a criminal. Shit.
Hey, that ain't nothing. You know, listen, you know the upper class, they do all them loophole tricks on just about everything, right? So
listen,
you know,
I gotta step out. I'll be right back.
All right. Yeah, so Marq, the upper class, they do all these loophole tricks to save money. And it's interesting too, because I mean, the way I think about it, obviously they save money, but you got to keep somebody on retainer. Let's say you got a tax guy, right? That dude's getting paid. He got to get paid. But his job is to save you money, right? So as long as he's saving you more money than you're paying him, he's working, right?
It's a win.
That's ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous, man.
But that's how they figured it out. And you look at it that over time, they figured out ways to get around the system. The same way Trump told Hillary, I'm doing the same thing that all your friends are doing. If you don't like it, change the laws.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
So it's been going on, and they gonna continue to do it. And they just pay the right people, or the right people find the loopholes and keep it pushing.
And you know, go ahead.
And I think with us, once we are so skeptical about everything that when it's initially presented to us, it's always the negative about it. And then we realize that it actually works. It's too late. The game's switching on us.
Yeah.
But then we'll turn around and say, oh, they moved the goalposts because we started doing it. No, it ran its course. Now they on to something new because now once too many people get in it, it's saturated. We just switch the game up.
And you know, it's like, you know what it's like. What I look at it like, Marq. It look at it like the owl that you put on your roof, right? Initially, the pigeons are like, yo, man, we can't go over there no more. They got an owl up there, right? But then after a week or so, the pigeons over there hugging the owl, kissing the owl, and chilling with the owl because they realize, listen, the jig is up, man. This ain't working no more. So you gotta keep moving the goalposts, keep changing things. Like if you change that owl to something else every now and then it will keep working. But if you keep things the same, they know you keep things the same. You know, we eventually gonna figure out, you know, how to get around them, what to do, get new information. But yeah, that's part of this. That's part of this system, man. I've seen it. I've seen it at a micro level at my job. They kept changing things, man. And I'm like, why are they changing this now? And it's like, what I realized was that some people were getting over the old system and they had to make it challenging so they could slow people down. You know what I mean? Because if you say, oh, you gotta complete test 1 and 2 in order to get to the next level. Okay, people's completing test 1 and 2. Oh, well, now you also got to take this remedial training and this additional training and it's off-site. You got to leave your family for 3 weeks. And then you're like, nah, man, I ain't doing all that, you know?
Like one thing they say, if it was easy, everybody would be doing it.
It's true.
So now let's stop everybody from doing it, because once it's saturated, it ain't no good.
And then, you know, go ahead.
So that's why it consistently continues to change.
Yeah.
Let's find another way to do it. Y'all can have this way. Y'all can have this. We're going to go do it another way. And we'll see y'all catch up in the future.
Moving them goalposts, man. It's crazy, man. You know, they kick it. You kicking a field goal from 10 yards. I got to kick one from 35, huh?
Yeah, you see that. They say that 2 point. I mean, the extra point was automatic. So they moved them back 20 yards.
Yeah. Crazy.
You know, it ain't easy like it used to be.
Yeah, so it's crazy, man.
You know, that's one of them things, like I say, back to, you know, just politics in itself and the taxes and all that like foolishness. It's funny that I realized early, so maybe about 19, 20, I realized that I didn't benefit from either party. And it's crazy because in 96, when I was able to vote, going to school, you know, you're going to be voting next year. Yeah. Who you voting for? I don't know. Well, just vote for whoever your parents vote for. But I don't think that was always the best thing, because they may not agree with my views. But it came to me full circle when I tried to go to school for to be a computer tech. And the school took all the students, it was about 8 of us, and we went down to the little spot on Pollard, workforce development. And we went down there, we filled out these forms for them to pay for us to go to school. I'm like, cool. So I'm the only person out of the 8 people, I'm the only person they asked me to pay to go to school. And I'm like, why I gotta pay? They was like, well, you got a job and you make more than $6,000 in 6 months. I was scratching. I went to thinking, like, $6,000 in 6 months. Hell, y'all want me to be poor? I'm already struggling. I'm on a job. I'm on a job making $7 an hour. And you telling me I got to make $1,000 a month to pay for me to go to school? So I'm like, who benefit from the Democrat? Because I can't get y'all to pay for me to go to school. I can't get no food stamps. I don't benefit from y'all. I ain't got enough money to be a Republican. I'm just stuck. I'm stuck.
You know, this was a inflection point, just like what you were saying, Marq. This is an inflection point for me. This is when I knew I had to start bending the rules. All right, so this is when I was in at a university, and I was in my freshman class at a university, right? I had to scrape, crawl, everything just to get to that university in terms of money, right? I'm on student loans. I had a part-time job, everything, just to get to the university, right? So one day I'm out there, I'm playing basketball. They got the little basketball court, and then right across the street, financial aid administration building, right? So we out there, we balling, we playing ball, and a Mercedes pulls in. I got one eye on the financial aid building. I got one eye playing ball. I don't know how I did it, but they look at Joe. So they I'm watching these people, man, and they get out the car, they get out this Mercedes, and they go on their financial aid. So first of all, that ticked me off. I'm like, why are you pulling in to financial aid in a damn Mercedes? That pissed me off, man, to no end. Number one, right? So then they go into the office, and I see the kid bringing in a form. And apparently he's going in there to try to apply for financial aid. And I'm thinking he probably got it. You know, whether he got it or not is irrelevant. The fact that they thought that was an option was the problem for me, because here's the thing. I grew up in poverty, man. So if anybody deserved a student, I don't even deserve a student loan. I should have went free. But if anybody deserved a student loan, it would have been me. I shouldn't even had to feel. I'd been like, look, man, here's some Polaroids of the life I had, you know, from age of 10 to 16, man. Y'all think I deserve it? They would have been like, yeah, here, get this man a loan. But anyway, I saw that and I was just like, and then I started thinking about my circumstances and how difficult it was for me to even get just a loan, never mind financial aid. And that's when I realized there ain't no equity. I have to bend the rules, man, so that they work for me. You know what I mean? And don't bend them too far so that the metal breaks. Just bend them far enough so you can benefit. You know, and that was my realization right there, man.
I cannot disagree with that. I think the issue is, as you say, don't break it. I mean, don't take it to the point of fracturing it.
Right.
But if we look at how laws are created in this country, it's really about bending them. I mean, you know, everything from I don't know if you know this, but at one time there was a law against ugly people. True story.
Oh.
I'll trade it. There was a law that said if you were ugly, you couldn't come out after a certain time. I'll show you.
Being forced.
The question is, who decides who's ugly?
Yeah, right. What's the basis of that? Yeah.
Because I have come to realize ugly people don't know they ugly.
Well, that would be me. I am all that. So, but to go back to the point about the Republican issue, let me bring a point of history back. After the Civil War, allegedly in the age of Reconstruction, we had more Black elected representatives than we do today, or at least in the upper house. You had 4 Black United States senators, and they actually came from the South. The turn for us, and remember, Lincoln was a Republican. The turn came when in the 60s, 50s, and 60s, when you had, during the Great Migration, when the Dixiecrats took over the wing of the Republican Party, and they left being Democrats, became Republicans. For a long time, the demos were the racists. Just so you know.
Oh yeah. Flip.
And it's interesting because everybody from Jesse Helms, Strom Thurmond were all Dixiecrats. Then they become Republicans. But do I agree with some of their platforms? Yes. I think that at some point the country has to, we can't be isolationist. I mean, history has taught us that we cannot isolate ourselves. That's what got us into World War II, effectively. And we're not on this island Earth by ourselves, so that doesn't work. However, there are ways that I think that we can keep ourselves intact without destroying ourselves from within. I think Lincoln said it the best, you know, a house divided won't stand. And it's true. I mean, history proves that. The question becomes, how do we stop this house from falling?
That's a good question.
Well,
I don't know if falling, because we are at this point we are so far apart. I'm almost certain that in a house structure, studs are 16 inches apart, and that's throughout the house. But we are on opposite ends, and it's no real median. We don't even have an in between because we're just so far divided. So it's difficult to figure out how do we stop this thing from falling.
And not only that though, just to add to that, some people don't even want to live in the house. I don't want to be in that house. You know what I'm saying? Some people want to live outside.
Yeah.
Some people, so the house divided. Yeah, the house is gonna fall anyway because there is no, everybody's not together trying to keep
no structure.
Yeah, there's no structure.
But if it fall in the next 3 years, how do we rebuild it?
That's the $1 million question, because certainly we're headed for a recession. I don't care if anybody believes it or not. It's going to happen. We're hitting a recession. Mm-hmm. We're definitely going to hit a recession because, again, look at this. Supply and demand being outstripped. This guy, remember, his funny thing, he campaigned on a couple of issues: egg prices, gas prices. What was it? Weinstein, not Weinstein. What was the guy that died? Epstein. Now, as Malcolm X said, the chickens are coming home to roost.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're seeing that you didn't have an economic plan. And people are finally beginning to realize that we pay for the tariffs. I even have this discussion with some of my own grown behind friends. They don't understand how tariffs work.
Where they thought the money was going to go. I mean, come from.
It's the most amazing
That's
thing.
The basic supply and demand.
Yeah, they supply and demand at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
But the people that wind up paying for those tariffs are the consumers, no matter which way you go.
Yes.
So when this guy came in talking about, I got tariffs for you guys and you're going to love them. Yeah, if you're 1%, because you're never going to lose. It's like gambling at a casino. The house never loses, whether you believe it or not. You may think you're going to win that big wheel, but while you may win that big wheel, they are taking in everything they just lost with the 20,000 other people sitting out there with the pennies and quarters.
Yeah.
So the question becomes, as you said, how do we fix it? And I'll tell you how I think we fix it. We have to bring, and forgive me for saying this, where I come from, my family comes from the South. My mother comes from Alabama. My father comes from New Orleans, a place called Iberville Parish, Baton Rouge, down that area. And my grandmothers used to tell me, common sense ain't common. And as I stayed my career as a policeman and then into homicide and then as a sergeant, I began to realize I wish my grandmother was here to tell me some more of that shit. I have written down half the shit my grandmother told me, either one of them, because they weren't wrong. I mean, they told me things, boy, if you go to a girl's house and it's messed up, you don't want to go back there no more, son. And I didn't. As I got older, I'm like, you're sitting there and you're going, I heard that shit somewhere.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, it's like your grandmother pops up. Well, I told you.
So Joe, I gotta interrupt you on that because if y'all don't know, I got an autobiography, and what Joe was talking about, I got a chapter where I talk about lessons learned, and what you just talked about, Joe. You know what I call those? I call those whispers. You get those whispers, right? You hear them, and they might not take effect until sometime later, but that whisper, you heard it.
Yep.
Yeah, you're right about that. Because I had a lot of those. My grandmother told me I had a lot of them whispers, and I didn't necessarily not do those things, but it wasn't until later where I was like, man, she was right. 100% right.
The crazy old lady wasn't crazy.
It'd be like that, and for me, same thing. You hear it, and you just store it up, and then sometimes you're doing something and it resonated, and you're like, oh, I remember I was told that. You know what I mean? And it just hit you, may hit you at the weirdest time.
Yes.
It's right on time for you, like, yeah, I heard this, I seen this, I know how this play out. So let me make a wiser decision. You know, my grandma, one of them that always said, be particular.
Oh, she didn't lie.
That's good, man. That's good right there. I haven't heard that one, but that's good. That's good. Because a lot of us grow up with, well, I ain't gonna speak for y'all, but I'm gonna just say, just my circle, man. A lot of us grew up like, you didn't have a choice. We had no choices, you know. No. Whatever was status quo, whatever was in front of you, that's your choice. But I like that, Mark. Be particular. That's awesome, man.
Look, man, I watch some of these. The funny one of the things that kills a lot of our messes us up is this thing called this. My parents used to call this the dumb box, the TV box. And you watch some of these shows and you're like, huh? It's comedic, but I've actually been in situations where people will say something back to their parents. I'm like, man, where I come from, you wouldn't have any teeth.
Yeah, no.
I mean, kids would tell the parent, well, I ain't eating that. Yeah, you got a choice. Slim and none. Pick one.
Yeah.
I think I'm on the fence a little bit about this. I guess they call it gentle parenting now. Because in some aspects, I see where it works. But in other aspects, I'm like, nah, ain't no way in the hell I'm going for that one.
Here's the thing.
Look, so
if you got a kid on the spectrum, how you deal with that child is different than how you would deal with a child not on the spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
And even at that, the idea of consequences has to be instilled on either side. So the question becomes, how much of a consequence? So your kid, and again, I have a daughter that's, even though she graduated from college, she's still on the spectrum. Get that? She has spells. She's epileptic. I mean, the whole bag. But she still had to deal with me because as a police officer, I can't have my kids, pardon my language, fucking up. You can't come home to my house fucking up. I don't give a shit what your excuse is. My father was the police. Uncle was the police. Family comes from the South. We fought the Klan, all that stuff. Grandfathers in World War I, World War II. No, there ain't no excuse. And you can call it gentle parenting. You still getting that foot broke off in that ass.
No question. One way or the other. And so this is the thing though. A lot of people, like, there's a lot of spaces. What I'm about to say, you can apply what I'm about to say to a lot of spaces. And that's putting stuff in boxes, right? We love trying to box stuff, right? Categorizing stuff, putting stuff in a box. Now, I'm just going to use this as an example. One time in my life when I was working, I was a manager, right? I used to manage like 30 people. And the one thing I found out was I tried to do the box method, try to put everybody in the same box. I'm going to do you this way, and I'm going to take whatever I applied for you, it worked for you. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to try that on you. I found out quickly that that don't work. So in some cases, what I found out, that I needed to be a hammer. In some cases, I found out I needed to have gentle talk. In some cases, I needed to provide direction. And in some cases, I needed people to give me commitment and stick to it. So, Joe, I know you've seen a lot of this because this is the same thing that you probably did. And so what that tells me is that even with kids, you can't. It's no one size fits all. You can't just write a book and say, "Well, this will work for your kid." You don't know that. You don't know that kid.
It's funny you say that. A friend of mine just adopted a newborn. And I had to tell him, there ain't no manual on parenting. There ain't none. When my kids are born, I'm looking around for the manual, and they're like, tag, you're it. What are you talking about? You are born or you're given the playbook by your parents.
Right.
Or and the rest of your civilization, however that may be. So for us in our age group, we had the uncles, the aunts, the cousins, but now we see them pushing that further away. That's part of the design. And I'll
Yeah.
say this again without trying to be too conspiratorial. The plan is in full effect to get us. We make up we're number one in all the wrong categories. Per capita, we're the number one offenders in jail per capita. Number one not victims. Number one, how do you say this? We make up the stats in the HIV category. Our educational system is failing. And let me segue and say this again. Those who forget history are doomed to repeat. And here's a prime example. In the 50s and 60s, we were fighting for housing, education, healthcare. 2025, what are we fighting for?
Same thing.
See, they didn't forget because they still got housing, education, and healthcare.
Yeah, Joe, to your point, man, I'm seeing this is just from what I see, and I see like the suppression techniques are cyclical,
Yes.
but they are tweaked just enough so that you can't get used to them. It's kind of like I think of it like that owl that is on the roof. The pigeons, if they keep the same owl there, the pigeon's gonna get used to it. You got to do something. You got to change it up. But if you use the same techniques, people get used to it. So they got to keep moving it. Got to keep changing it. Just keep you off balance. And so when I come along and I tell my son, let's say for example, my son who's coming up, hey, look out for this, look out for this. Well, that stuff don't even exist no more. I can't tell him what to look out for unless I really know what's happening.
Look, man, to your point, let me give you this, and I'll be quiet. If we look at this last election, on qualifications alone, there's no way he should have won. But to your point, they tweaked the points on which to affect. If we look at the last two administrations, if you just take Barack's and even Biden's administration, look at the people they had and comparing with now, there is no comparison. There is absolutely no comparison. Pete Hexes. Come on, man. This guy's wearing Nazi emblems on his skin. And he's the man now. You unconsciously include a reporter in a secret chat and then deny it when you get busted out. And you still got the job. Now, and this goes back to the Shannon Sharp thing. This guy put millions of lives on the line. Still got his job. Shannon Sharp's an entertainer. They fired his butt.
All right. You say that, but like I say, they fired him and several others. And I think Shannon, I guess I ain't around enough of the other people to understand how they felt about the situation. But our people so quick to condemn and counsel our people for the smallest things that they do. Now we look at this Republican Party, they don't give a damn what they do. You with us. Right, wrong, and different. You did something wrong. We still bringing you with us. You got a few that's gonna step out, but they bringing them right along and gonna act like it didn't happen.
Okay, so wait a minute. Let me challenge you on that. So during his campaign, he had all the black Republicans that you had one senator that embarrassed him so much when he said, "I love you." I was going to go through the screen and choke the living out of this dude. You had this congressman down in Florida Not one of them got anything. And they campaign more than the people this guy put in office. So, but here, let me go back one more step. So this president, he starts giving these pardons. I want you to notice who he gave them to. So the black people he pardoned were hardened criminals who still had state time. They're still in jail. So he granted Larry Hoover, who was
Hoover,
he
still
gave
got 200 years.
Easy. And I can tell you what he did in the streets of Chicago.
It sounds good though.
But again, who did he kill? He killed black people.
Mm-hmm.
So now these other white guys that are getting off have stole billions of dollars, billions with a B.
Mm-hmm.
Free. He hires a January 6th insurrectionist to run the Department of Corrections. He hired Proud Boys and gave them pardons. But now, to the point, and this is, when we talk about tweaking the points, he told his base, if he got elected, what he was going to do. And to your point, Mark, he did exactly what he said he was going to do. Biden, on the other hand, when he got elected, tell me which promise he kept.
Not now. And we said, we went along with the, oh yeah, so the House so full of Republicans that he can't do nothing. He trying to do it. He trying.
Wait.
Every Democrat prior to him has tried and has not done anything.
I'm going to say this, and I'm going to be quiet, I swear.
Oh, you're not, Joe. Just don't say that.
We're going to make you keep talking.
So you had a Democratic president who had 4 shots at the Supreme Court. He winds up putting 2 women in, one gay and one whatever, but they're both of Hispanic nature.
Mm-hmm.
Lineage, I'm sorry. So you couldn't find a black woman or black gay anywhere in these United States.
Yeah.
It took another white man to put a black on the Supreme Court. See, we keep doing ourselves too.
And that's what we don't want to. That's what we don't want to talk about. We don't want to say how we turn around and do it to ourselves, but we'll point out every time the man stick it to us.
So let me do a self-confession here, because I think I understand the psychology behind that. It's wrong, but I think I understand the psychology behind it, because there was a time, as I, and I'm thinking about just in my career, there was a time in my career where I started moving up the ladder, and I got to a point where now I was a decision maker, right? I can make decisions, and I can have influence on, who comes in and who comes out and this or that, who gets hired, who doesn't get hired. And so I got to a point where I was feeling funny if I would hire a black candidate, even if the black candidate was the best person for the job. Okay. Because I know people were watching me. I was at a company that had 8% black people, 8%. Okay. That's by design. They ain't had nothing to do with me. So I know they didn't want to populate the company with black folks or minorities. So I would feel funny, if I was like, I'm interviewing, like, I'll make it up, like 8 people, and 2 of them are black. Everybody else is, some other persuasion. And I chose one of the black people. I feel funny about that, because I'm like, I know they think I just hired that person not off of accolades, because I'm the one that does the interview. I'm the one that checks the accolades, everything, right? So there was a point in time where I feel funny. But I got past that. I got way past that, because I started seeing how, I got to a point where I was like, listen, I don't care anymore. They play too many games. The state laws, I started understanding the state laws, and the state laws in my state is, if your company has 8%, if your company has, I think it's like at least 5% minorities, then it's fine. And I'm like, we got 10. Okay, so they doubled it, but still 10% minorities at a company that has 800 people. Y'all think about that. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And that does not mean that all the other black people in this town are unqualified. There's something systematic going on that made that happen. Y'all know that.
Well, I will say this to you. Again, if you go around the country and you start look just using police departments, the norm was 10% black.
Yep, I saw that when I did my research. Yeah, I saw
Amazing.
that.
And I got more, but there's more. But here's the thing about this whole psychology. Part of the post-traumatic slave disorder is that they make us, we have to give them reasons why we are better. And here's what I mean.
Yeah.
I've matched up with people on promotion exams. If you just taken away my name and taking away the social security number, you know, your social security number actually can tell you what color you are, but that's not, again, another story. So if you took my resume and matched up with these other guys, I even had a complaint lodged against me that said, "White Detective Mosley," because I speak English. But my point to you is this: they make us feel some type of way about when we are doing the right thing. Even when we do the right thing, it's the wrong thing, if that makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense.
You know, and I try to explain it to new detectives, new police officers, particularly black ones. Look, man, do your job, do it right, and understand. Here's a lot of young policemen get it twisted. I used to hear this thing about respect. They got to respect me, or they disrespected me. And I finally had to tell a couple guys, first off, you work for the people. That car says we serve and protect. The slogan's still wrong. It should be we protect and serve, but be whatever. Now, the real issue is you have to respect them no matter what. They don't have to respect you by virtue of you having a uniform. That's not the way that works. So if anything, you need to work for their, if nothing else, their sanctions, their idea of what's right should be part of how you work. Doesn't mean you have to go with all their stuff, but certainly how we police in the white community ain't the same way we police in the black community. That's a fact. Look at the numbers. Who gets arrested? Again, prime example. When the crime bill came out, crack cocaine got you automatic time. But don't you need powder cocaine to make crack cocaine?
Yeah,
that is true.
So these guys, Carlos and all those guys are bringing in kilos. They're getting less time than Pookie, who got 3 bags on him. That's a fact. The numbers are there.
Now, I got a question about that with the numbers. And one thing that I think when I think about that is true. You got less time for cocaine than you did for crack. But doesn't the representation that you have when you go to court plays a big part in that as well?
How so? I don't. How?
If you go to court, with a public pretender, you're gonna get what you're gonna get versus having a paid attorney.
Well, let me say this. I don't know how they are where you are, but we got some damn good public defenders. The U.S. Public defender is probably one of the top-notch officers. So it depends. Now, that's not to say it's not true, but I will say this. And again, it goes back to a whole bunch of other issues, subcategories. If we look at how this thing called the plea deal came about, it was actually designed to keep people enslaved.
Okay.
And the plea deal actually came into play around the 1780s, somewhere in there, as a way to keep people indentured. It was called indentured servants. It's still slavery. Mm-hmm. It was a way to keep people indentured.
Yeah, that's a nice name, isn't it, Joe? Indentured.
Slavery. But but the reality is you could have a piss poor private attorney too. So here's the thing. As in when we go somewhere, we dress to impress. Where does that come from? It comes from home training. See, everything goes back to, and I'm trying to bring this back to a certain point, and that is that everything begins at home. Mores, morals, social norms, styles of dressing, or even dressing. I've been on interviews where I've seen grown men with gym shoes on. I know you ain't my competition. You know, even if I came in there and spoke like Barney Rubble, I'm going to get further than him because he don't even know how to dress. So half of our problem is understanding our audience. You can't go in front of a judge with all these chains and talking about what up though, got your head cocked, hat cocked, and not think they're going to say something. But then again, you look at the white boy who's probably coming in with 2 or 3 kilos, suited and booted.
And that's why I asked. Does that play a part? So you go to court and you got a black DA and a black judge, and you get more time. Is it the system?
I would listen, man. I've been watching a lot of stuff in your county. You all got a problem down there. I will say this. I think that there are some issues to be addressed. And I think that when we don't speak about them, they fester. And because we are at a point of no return for Black folks, the problem gets exacerbated. And let me put it another way. Yes, we got a problem right here in River City. I've heard people say, you know, we can't vote our way out of it. Oh, yeah, you can. But it's going to take more than voting. You got to put people in position that want to do the job. I've heard people say, well, I believe in Georgia, you now have constitutional carry. I believe it passed down there. With constitutional carry, even a felon can carry a weapon now. I thought that, you know, in some states you can't do that.
Wow.
But I would think with that, it depends on, for me, it depends on the felony.
That could be. Okay. If it's a non-violent, if it's a non-violent crime, white collar crime, I could go with that. But if you're a convicted child molester, murderer, rapist, you shouldn't have no. There's certain things you should not have full coverage. But be that as it may, going back to your question, yes, I think there's a problem down in certain parts of the country, and I think that sometimes we want to be fairer. How about that?
Yeah,
we want to show white folks how fair we can be.
Oh, that's oh, look, hold on. That's the clip. Y'all know this clip. I ain't even gotta remember y'all. That's the clip from Boys in the Hood. Y'all remember? You remember the black cop and the white cop roll up on them, and the black cop is harder on them than the white cop.
Yeah.
Right. And that's exactly what Joe described right there. That's that scene right there. Because I'm looking at that, I'm like, why is the brother? He's supposed to be a brother, man. He really smashing people on the car top, saying, you know, you making us look bad and this and that. And I'm like, wow, man, I've seen that too. I've seen that.
But before Boys in the Hood, Ice Cube put it in a rap. He say, black police showing out for the white cop.
Yeah, right. That's it. Yeah. Yeah, that's
and that was in the police.
Yeah,
and that's how he said that.
Well, in some cases, I've actually heard some of my brothers use the N-word judiciously in mixed company, and one guy pulled his eye and said, "What is that about?"
Now I'll be the first to say I
do that,
but I don't use it in mixed company.
No, I can't do that, man.
I mean, you know what that's about. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
I had to pull him to the side. I'm like, man, what are you doing?
I don't want you to feel comfortable.
Yeah, I didn't look. Wait, true story time. So I worked in homicide, as you know, and at this time, this was one of those days where my unit was, for lack of a better term, was blowing up. So the floor was full. I mean, we had at least 3 or 4 murders going. We had all kind of other stuff. So you bring in people, you get interviews. So we had one team who had a guy in the room, and so one of the 2 detectives was in there. Inward. You know, you did you in. So now I got my guy in the other room, and my partner's looking at me all cross-eyed, like. So I go out in the room. I go outside my interview room, and I grab this officer who happened to be Caucasoid, and I said to him, I said, "Listen, man, I know that he did the murder. You know he did the murder. Your job is to make sure he tells you he did the murder." I said, "But you got to cut that nigga shit out." He told me, he says, "What do you mean, guy?"
Oh, he call you guy. He call you guy.
Buddy, go back to your interview room, buddy.
Oh no, but it gets better. So then I said, "Listen, man, you got to cut that out. Plain and simple. You know, we can leave it here. We can take it higher. That's on you. Whatever you want to do. I'm there. I'm in for it. I'm in, penny or pound, whatever it is. But you're going to cut that shit out." We had little old ladies on the floor. We had families. So you could see some people. I mean, they heard me because I was loud. I did not hold my tone. You know, it's hot as hell. So, you know, a little lady, I'm going past, and a little lady hits me on the arm, like, gives me the nod. And now I feel good. Now I got an S on my chest. I'm really about to throw some shit up. So, long story short, so he then proceeds to tell the rest of the floor, rest of the other detectives, "Oh, that Mosley, he's not with us." So I'm like, where did that come from? So roll call,
Mosley not like us. They not like us.
Hey, that's where the Kendrick Lamar thing came from. Not like
Kendrick
us.
ain't got
Mosley.
Kendrick ain't got nothing on us. But here's the thing: that I finally wound up catching him, you know, next week, and I confirmed. I said, "Now, why would you tell people that, you know, that?" I said, "You had to cut that BS out. That's all. You and I know he did the murder. Your job is to get him to tell you what you already know to be a fact. That's your job. I helped train you. I know what you're supposed to do.
Right.
I've done the job." Man, this guy's jaw got tight. He wouldn't speak for almost a year, and I didn't give a shit. But I tell you what, he didn't call nobody else that nigga no more on that floor in front of me.
No, that's crazy, man. You're not supposed to do that in mixed company, man. That's just I'm gonna leave it at my opinion, but I think that should be a law.
But that goes back to something we talked about earlier. Common sense. But see, you got to remember, common sense for one ain't common sense for all. Because what they see is right in their community, because their structure is different. I will tell you this: Black middle-class America is not as hateful as white middle-class America. I'll take anybody on that one.
We are so forgiving.
Listen, man, the most forgiving race on the face of this earth. If we did, I'm glad you said that, because now you got me charged up. I will tell you this. The thing that, you know, it's kind of like the song "Fear of a Black Planet." If we did to them, I think they're more scared that we will do to them what they did to us. That's what I think.
Well, you know, they gave us a book to make sure we don't do to them what they did to us.
They gave you a whole bunch of stuff. They gave you PTSD, post-traumatic slave disorder. And here's the thing. In every recovery system, the first step to recovery is what? Admitting that there's a problem. That's why they won't admit that slavery is an issue. Because as long as we keep that phobia going, that stereotype, that malice going, it, as you say, you can tweak, you can adjust it, and make it work for you. See, that devil's busy.
And you know what? That whole psychology, as far as I'm concerned, that whole psychology translates into money.
Yes.
For them.
Yes.
Translates into money for them.
Look, man, remember this. When King kicked off the boycott of the bus system in Birmingham, he broke them punks down. It took them a year. See, that's why they're so mad. That's why they don't keep want to let us get organized. That's why they keep killing our leaders or structure. Because could you imagine, Minister Farrakhan's been talking about it for years. You have your own grocery stores, have your own hospital, and he's absolutely correct. But he wasn't the first one to think that. Can you imagine if we stuck together just one day, what the economic damage we could do if we wanted to strike these guys in the heart? Call a strike. Say, listen, we're not going to use whatever.
So when you say that, let me ask this question.
Certainly.
Were we better?
Oh, I know where you're going.
Were we better with segregation or now with integration?
Ooh, man, I've got some books by King, and I know some of his disciples. And King said that at the end of his life, right before his murder, he said, "I fear that I brought my people into a burning house."
Yeah.
Wow. Jeez.
It's true. True. I got the book.
Yeah.
Let's from Birmingham jail. Well, I will tell you this. I will say this to you. We get nowhere by because that becomes the house divided. Mm-hmm. The problem for us, unlike the rest of them, just say in general, white folks, no matter what, can always go somewhere. Ireland, Russia, anywhere in Europe, Africa, South America. Where are you going to run to? LA, Lower Alabama? If I'm wrong, just please correct me. And
you're right. You are right.
The fact of the matter is, with the exception of the Native Americans, this is our country. We call ourselves African Americans. That's the term.
I don't.
But let me finish.
Go ahead.
And I don't disagree with some. I know what your argument is. Do we have African roots? Yes, but I'm as American as the rest of the motherfuckers. Boy, yeah. DDP gonna hate us tomorrow.
Yeah, you're gonna get a text tonight. So the good way he's saying is this. I think that when we were segregated, and I didn't live during that time, but it seems that we depended more on each other. That's when we had a village raising. I mean, the village helped out when we were segregated. Now, integration, I think it's because for some reason we thought white man ice was colder than black man ice. So having that mindset is that we fought for equal rights. We didn't have to be completely with them to enjoy the fruits of having equal rights. And I think that's the part that we may have been better segregated because we had our own. We were thriving communities amongst ourselves. And when we integrated, now we just out here bad.
So let me say this. Because this is a psychological thing. Because if you're telling me, let's think about it. I'm not saying what was right or wrong. I'm just talking about the psychology behind it. If you're telling me I'm over here with this group over here, they getting kicked and beat and marginalized and minimized and all that, then there's another group over there, and they eating fruit off a plate. They got women feeding them grapes, you know what I mean, and walking on beautiful rugs and everything. Why wouldn't I want to move in that direction? And I think that's I'm just talking about the psychology of it. And I think that is that attraction. And hold on, I missed a piece, because on this side I'm getting beat every day. I'm getting beat up. I'm getting kicked and beat up. On this side, I'm getting getting massages and relaxation, and I don't got nothing to worry about. So just psychologically, it's like, oh, we supposed to have that. We supposed to be doing that. But so instead of creating that in our community, we start integrating, trying to move over that way. So that's kind of what I see. That's what I think.
Hey Mo, I know you finna get deep, so let me just make this statement. I'm sorry, J Mo, you finna get deep. Let me make this statement to Mo. In 2025, are we fighting to sit at the counter and eat unseasoned white people food?
Oh God, dog, man.
No. Yeah.
That's what we did back then.
Hold on.
We fighting to sit and eat unseasoned food.
Wait, here's a man that spells Marq, M-A-Q. Come on, man. Come on.
If we fight to eat unseasoned food.
I think that, you saw me looking at my books. That's what happened.
You looking for a recipe with raisins in the potato salad?
Ooh, man, you get shot coming over there with that.
Hold on though. So, because look, there's a complexity in this whole conversation because and this is something me and my wife kind of went head to head about. And here was our dilemma, which is associated with this exact conversation. So I invest, right? Joe knows this about me. Marq, maybe I don't know, but I invest, right? Look at the investment system. Y'all know what the investment system is. At the very core, at the top of the investment system, is white folks who are taking advantage of poor folks. Yes. Right? That's really the core of the investing system, right? So I invest though, and I gain money through that system. And my wife always come at me. She's like, "You shouldn't be doing that. You know about BlackRock. You know how they did exploitation, this and that. You shouldn't be doing that." I said, "Look, I make decent money investing." She said, "Yeah, but you know the racism that's integrated into that and how they use that for exploitation, this and that." So I hit her with this, y'all. I slept on the couch this night. Don't worry about it though. I hit her with this. I said, you shop a lot. You do online shopping, don't you? Joe already know. I said, you do online shopping, don't you? Who you order from? You order from Amazon? She said, yeah, I order from Amazon. I said, you order from any of them? You order from any black companies? She said, no, they're all white companies. I said, you're doing the same thing I'm doing. Right. What you talking about? So I was like, we came to the conclusion. I ain't had to sleep on the couch because we came to the conclusion that it's the system's fault. The system is set up so that you cannot move in the system without being part of the exploitation. That's unless you want to live on a goddamn mountain with no television, no cell phone, you're not buying textiles. You just wearing you killing a sheep and wearing a sheep across your back. You are part of the exploitive system. So we came to that, and I was like, okay, so just keep that in mind next time you try to get on my case.
I like that. I'm gonna have to use that shit. But I to Marq's question, the answer is yes. The answer is, here, let me give you this. I want you to look at every major city that has a major black population. So let's look at Atlanta, even New York, Chicago, LA. I want you to look at the medical systems. I want you to look at the educational systems. See, the problem is that as we dig deeper, as we start doing the data mining, it gets deeper, deeper, and deeper. The problem is, in my mind, is that we stop at some point because it is so deep, and you can't stop. You have to keep digging. You have to keep mining, because the truth ain't something that's just going to come up to you, and it's not something they want to share. That's why, under this guy's plan to disassemble the Department of Education and stop teaching Black history, because the less you know about your history, less resistant to change. So if I don't tell you that we beat you all this time, we're good people. I think in Texas, they don't even teach that the slavery. I think they teach. I think the lady said they don't teach slavery. They teach something to the effect of there's a misunderstanding.
Now hear my thought. That's crazy. But here's my thought on that. We want them to continue to teach about slavery and all the things from Jim Crow and yada yada yada. We want that to continue to be taught throughout the system. But we also fight to change everything about that part. So we want to fight to get monuments taken down, names of specific places changed, like army bases with here Fort Benning name had changed because whatever. Grady High School, which has been here since forever, changed to Midtown High School now. Because Grady was a racist. So we are Stone Mountain. They want to take the 4 people off of Stone Mountain. We want them to teach about slavery, Jim Crow, and everything that was wrong that was done to black people. But every chance we get to erase it from being in plain sight is what we're trying to do. And I think that's kind of like you want it, but we can't get it the whole way.
No, it's counterintuitive.
All of it, we're going to erase all the history about it, or we're going to keep teaching it. But you can't pick and choose as far as you want to remove and keep.
To your point, I don't disagree with that. I think that the idea of removing Confederate statues was wrong. I think but again, it's a distraction. Because, and to your point, why you can't do one without the other.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the other thing is that the way that I would teach it is they're not only showing you, they're displaying their distaste for you by putting these up. No, leave them there. Mm-hmm. Because again, I want you to keep reminding me of the pain. I need you to keep reminding my children, my grandchildren, great-grandchildren of what happened. But erasure of history is wrong no matter who does it. Now, you know, do I agree with erasing of history? No, but you teach it. Here, prime example. Where my mother came from was a place called Union Springs, Alabama. It's in the county of Bullock County. Bullock County didn't exist until after the war. It was named after General Bullock of the Confederacy. Mm-hmm. But here's the interesting thing about Union Springs, Alabama. Union Springs happened to have been the depot for the Confederacy money. Little known history fact. Did you know that Jefferson Davis went on a run after the end of the Civil War and he took a money train full of Confederate gold? He was found, I believe, in West Virginia, dressed as a woman. They don't teach that. What happened to the second gold train? And what happened to that gold, by the way?
It's a good question.
But here's the other part that's also not talked about. People make light and they make Jesse James out to be a hero. Jesse James was a war criminal. He was not a hero. He slaughtered blacks. There was a battle of, I want to say it was not St. Louis, but there's a battle of, I'm trying to remember the name. It was in St. Louis, in Missouri, where they raided a town and they caught a trainload of Union soldiers coming through, tortured them and executed them. And he was part of Quantrill's Raiders. Now, it's interesting because Quantrill's Raiders, if you see the story of Josie Wells, you'll see the story of the Red Legs. Well, that was Quantrill. They made that the Union soldiers. Quantrill was a rebel. And they did wear red leggings. So they fantasize and tell these stories. But again, our problem is that we're not telling our stories. You know, I got a book here, Without Sanctuary. I've got a hope. I think I told you about the Battle of Fort Negro, where they executed, again, Jefferson Davis before he became a United States Senator. Right before the Civil War, he wiped out a settlement of free blacks and Indians. He took the Indian chief that was helping with the community, and turned him over to Native Indians that were working with him, and they scalped this guy alive. So, there's so many atrocities. And again, we don't talk about those things because who knows? It's just not. Sorry about that. But those are the things we should be talking about. But our kids don't know that.
That's true, but I'll say this: when I was growing up, coming up in school, I truly was only believed that the mistreatment of Black people was only in the South.
No,
I did not know this, but this is what I was taught. They only talked about it in the South. I never knew it was all across the country. And I realized this maybe about 15 years ago when I really just started thinking about, like, I started noticing, it was everywhere. It just wasn't in the South, but they only talked about the Jim Crow South. When we got to Black History Month, we only talked about maybe 10, 15 Black people in all of the history. Martin Luther King being the number one. Malcolm behind, and we talked about Rosa Parks, Sir Journal True, but it still wasn't but about 10 Black people that we truly, 10 to 15 Black people that we truly discussed during Black History Month. So it's a lot of the history that just wasn't talked to us. And I don't know if they didn't know it, just didn't care to share it, or it was just easy because they did it the year before. But throughout my elementary school, that's the only things that I remember about Black history.
Yeah, it's interesting because in the Black Civil Rights Movement, the Black gay movement was involved heavily. There are 3 Black gay men that were main movers, pardon, and not trying to be a pun, behind Martin Luther King. 3.
It was a movie about that I saw not too long ago. I cannot remember the gay name.
I'll give you the book. Bayard Rustin. Who was the poet? Black poet. Baldwin.
Okay.
And one more guy. And these guys were heavy hitters. So, we look at these issues and they're nothing new to us. But like you say, we can't pick and choose what we're going to teach. But here's the problem I have. We're not teaching nothing.
Yeah.
That's the problem. And then when they do, they teach it wrong.
True.
Slavery existed in the North. In fact, where did the colonies start at?
They started in the North.
Yeah. Think about that.
Well, when you think about it, it's true because they escaped to the North to be free. So it made it seem like all the Negroes were free in the North.
Nope. There's a book called The 272, and it addresses, I'm trying to get in contact with the writer, and it traces how the order, the Jesuits order, actually were the main instigators of slavery. And I went to a Jesuit Catholic high school.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. 272. Pick it up. And it started in the Northeast.
Now, I will say I did learn a little bit more about Black people once I got to Frederick Douglass High School. And then when I introduced to him and learned more about him and other people like him. But that was, like I say, through elementary school, it was them same little 10 people.
So what you guys kind of, I got a quote for kind of what you guys are talking about, especially what you said, Joe. It kind of fits to me. It seems like it fits perfectly. But this is a quote by John Henry Clark, and it says, "Powerful people cannot afford to educate the people they oppress, because once they are truly educated, they will not ask for power; they will take it."
They'll take it.
So that's fear. That's why I'm not going to teach you. Why would I teach you what you really need to know if you're going to just use it against me? That don't make sense, right? If I'm a white person.
One of the things that you push, and there's 2, if we're going to beat these guys or at least be on an equal footing. There's two things we got to do: learn financial literacy and vote. And here's why I say that. I hear, and we've got friends, all of us have friends who, and I've heard one guy, I was going to strangle him. I don't believe in voting. I'm going to get my bag.
Oh my goodness.
The other quote was Martin Luther King and what do you say? Malcolm X didn't do nothing for me and mine.
Oh my, what is wrong with this? What is guy? Listen, don't tell me where he's at. Never mind. Oh my goodness.
Mark, if I told you, it would kill you if you knew who it was.
Don't tell us. You keep that, Joe. You keep that, man, because it's gonna be a 187, man. Don't do that.
Look, if I could have gone through the screen, I would have. But the problem is, are you guys familiar with Fanbase, Isaac Hayes' new platform?
Yeah, I am.
On this platform, this guy and his group started spouting exactly all that stuff. And I tried to explain to them in a calm voice, which I don't have, how if it hadn't been for them, you wouldn't even be in an economic market because you wouldn't be allowed to. First of all, they wouldn't allow you to participate in any economic development in the first place. The other thing is that voting and economics go hand in hand. Why do you think Trump was in such a powerful position? What is he doing? When you talk about tweaking those little things, look at what he's tweaking. See, it don't matter. See, they don't mind if you don't vote. They don't. Please, voting don't mean you guys don't need to vote. And then he turns around his base, make sure all you vote.
Yeah.
Now, remember when the boy Kyle Rittenhouse shot the guys up in Milwaukee and they had the trial? Mm-hmm. So then they had that march. So they had a reporter go up there and to a man, every one of those marches, right wing, Nazis, whatever, all registered voters. 2 weeks later, they had the Black Lives Matter march down here in Chicago. 1 out of 4 people voted.
Yeah. Yeah. And
I think but voting don't matter.
Wow.
It matters. It does matter. But I think they really need to focus on voting on the local level first.
Oh, without a doubt. Yes. Yes.
Not every 4 years, every 2 years.
Yes.
You know, that's where it matters the most. And then we worry about, I mean, not to say worry about, but then you worry about what's going on the federal level.
Oh, no,
but
you're
locally first. You know,
there's a quote that said, all politics is local. That shit's for real.
Yeah, but I need people in place now that's going to affect me locally.
Yes.
You know, like I say, and I say this, I live in Clayton County. If Victor Hill could run today, I'm running to the polls to vote for him. And he shot the girl in the face. She forgive him. I forgive him. I think they railroaded him on them criminal charges he got that he can no longer be a sheriff. I do believe that. But that's why I started. I saw a difference in my community with him being in office. Because I remember when Clayton County was all white. Before him, I remember when it was all white. My dad stayed in Clayton County, and I was a little frightful to go to his house because he was the only black person that stayed in his subdivision. And back then, I'm like, man, it's the KKK here. Because as a kid, even though Riverdale went but a 20-minute ride, it seemed like forever. It almost like you went to a whole nother state.
Yeah.
That 20-minute ride seemed like it was an hour plus. But we 20 minutes from my house, but being that was all white. So I've seen to where now the subdivision that he was the first black person to live in is all blacks and no whites. You know, I seen when they closed down the projects in Atlanta and they gave them Section 8 vouchers to go anywhere they wanted to live, that the people from the west side ran to Clayton County. And that's when it changed and the crime skyrocketed.
Yes. And
people upset because Victor Hill got a big billboard as soon as you're coming off Highway 85 in the Clayton County that said, not in my county. You're not going to do this in my county. And he stood on that. So me voting is locally first. I had a great relationship with my community leader. She sat in seat 1, but she passed away about 4 or 5 years ago. So I had a relationship with her because I'm all for making my community better. But that comes from voting her in, voting Victor Hill in, and voting the other people in is going to be right here locally. Then I can worry about the federal stuff. Because when it comes to the federal stuff, all I think about is the financial parts of it. But the community is what I'm looking for first.
You said
You
said a mouthful. And let me segue just for a second. Make sure you tell people that Victor Hill's running for Congress. But here's the thing, and it goes back to a lot of stuff we've been talking about. If there was ever a guy that Trump should have pardoned, Victor Hill should have been it. And still should be it. Now,
why do you say that?
What did he do? Did you read his book yet?
I hadn't.
Please pick it up. Please pick it up. I read it in a day because that's how interested I was in it.
Okay.
But one of the things that he talks about and documented, what they convicted him on, no other person has been even charged. If you look at some of these police shows, they do exactly what Victor Hill was charged with. Now, something you said, Mark, and I want to bring your point home. You had a black DA and a black judge, and you had a black defendant who they didn't have to. They had to make an example of. I've never seen any, to this day, in the United States, no other sheriff has been charged with the same shit he was. That's a fact.
I tell you this. I have been to Clayton County several times. He never put me in a chair. He never put no spit thing over my face. Never did any of that because I acted like I had got God-given sense to get up out of there.
What was that word?
And like I had sense and common sense that people don't have. And you may be right. Nobody's been charged with that. He didn't infringe on nobody's rights. You down there acting a fool, do what they need to do to get you to act right. And like I say, but I understood from a different aspect or a different point of view. I tell people it's two people that dislike Victor Hill: criminals and people that don't stay in Clayton County.
Well, according to your DA down there, and she's no relation, by the way, just so you know, no relation. I read some of that transcript. That was horrible. The judge wouldn't even let some of the stuff that, and I didn't, because I talked to him. I asked him, how come you didn't do X or Y? He said the judge wouldn't let it in. A couple of the witnesses shouldn't have been allowed in. The investigator for the DA was the husband of the judge. It's called a conflict of interest.
It is.
So when you hear, do I think the charges against Trump would just trumped up, pardon the pun? No, I don't. Do I think the charge against Victor Hill would trumped up? Yes, I do. Now, if there's ever been a case of what they call lawfare, Victor Hill is a prime case. If there's any one of them people, let's see, he just pardoned the Grizzlies. He's pardoned the guy down in Florida who took off like 100 mil. Of course, he pardons Hoover, but again, he pardons black criminals who still got to do jail time. So he gets them out of prison and puts them back on. He still got 200 years. Way to go. Way to go. So that's the problem I have with him, because he actually could win more hearts. The Republican Party could win a lot more black votes if they did certain things a certain way. You don't have to be a cultist and believe that everything this guy is just absolutely right, because it's not. Is some of the things that he's doing correct? I tell you they are. I got no problem about, when they talk about the illegals jumping the line, I get that. However, there is still part of the Constitution that they do have benefit of. We just can't, once they land here, once they're here, they're protected. So we can't cut off the laws because we don't like them. You have to figure out another way to do it.
I agree, but that's him. I'm doing what I told you I'm gonna do.
That's true.
It's up to the courts to make him stop. Because that's what he's doing. Oh, that's illegal. Stop me. And he continues to do what he's supposed to do. And that's the role that I hope that when Democrats do get back in office, that they take that same playbook and we gonna do what we said we gonna do. You gonna have to stop us.
Yeah, that same energy. Yeah. The unfortunate part is, if I don't know if you ever seen the budget for the Department of Education, they're absolutely correct. Are there is there waste there? Oh my God, there is
a lot of it.
Not only waste, there is redundancies. Do I agree with shutting down the whole thing? No, because here's the problem with that. See, public education didn't become a problem until they started educating Black folks.
Okay.
It's this whole voucher school stuff, because that takes away from the public school and puts it back where it should. Remember, our Constitution basically says there's a separation of church and state.
Yeah.
And it should be. In a public school, you should be free from the religious fervor. That's why you have Catholic schools, Methodist schools, whatever else. Whatever. If you want your kid to be that in that doctrine, do that. But public school education, there's certain things in this country that are rights. Healthcare should be a right. Education should be a right. A phone ain't.
Mm-hmm.
In Illinois, it used to be if you were on welfare, you could get a phone. How's that right?
That was everywhere.
That ain't right.
I have to say, we used to call them Obama phones. I hate to say it. Get you an Obama phone. They was on every corner passing out phones.
Yeah.
Especially if you got any kind of assistance.
And again, I agree with you having healthcare. I agree with you having education and food. I got no problem with that. But me giving you a phone and me paying for it when I got a phone bill? No, we got to.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you on that. You gotta pick and choose and how we distribute them funds. Like I say, with the education, it's terrible, especially because what I see and what I think now is that they get paid for having butts in seats.
Oh yeah, that's true.
And so when they get paid to have butts in seats, it takes away from them being able to. So now what you got is the patients are running the asylum. The kids are running the schools. I know for a fact, and this is not what I thought I heard or what I heard. Kid at a school steals a teacher's car. Back in school 2 days later and tell the teacher, I steal it again. Yeah, okay. As a teacher, what you supposed to do?
Well, we're on the air, so I can't answer.
Yeah.
So, it's crazy because when I was in high school, I have love, respect, and admiration for Dr. Hill, who was the principal at Douglas High School. Ran the school like Joe Clark.
Yeah.
But I respect and admire him for what he did, because I wouldn't be the part of the person that I am today, and with so many other people. He could not teach in this. I mean, he could not be a principal in this era. Because when I was in school, I remember the first week of school, him expelling 100 kids for fighting.
Wow.
And we didn't have gangs then, but gang banging. Because you stay in this hood and y'all fighting, all y'all gotta go. But now, with them getting paid for having butts in seats, let's figure out another way than suspending them, expelling them, and let's keep them in the school so they can keep causing problems. It's crazy. And it goes back to what we talked about earlier, the parents. Not my baby. I know that's saying that to my baby. I wish they would. And they run up there to fight the teacher or whatever the authority figure is, instead of realizing your child wrong is 2 left shoes. As a coach, I experienced it. As a coach, we on the bus going to a game. And I always sit in the first seat across from the bus driver. I'm going over notes, getting prepared for the game. Boom, 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 doing my thing. And the kid in the back of the bus just cussing like a sailor. Every other word, blip, 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 blip. And I'm at the bus like, hey, blip, 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 hey, blip, blip. Cussing so much, don't even hear me trying to get his attention to stop the cussing. I walk back there to the kid like, hey, why are you cussing the bus driver on the bus? And he looking down at his phone. I took my hand, put it over his screen, because I'm talking to you and you're going to pay me some attention. Stop cussing, yada, yada, yada. I go back up to the bus. He don't say nothing else. I forget about it. We play the game. We come back from the game. We sit the coach and staff is in the coaching office. And we sitting in there debriefing, whatnot. Parent coming out. He go to the head coach. Hey, coach, I just want you to know that the next time one of your coaches square up on one of the kids, realize that this kid got a daddy. Oh, so my coach, I hear his turn like, who is he talking to? What is he talking about? And he looked me square in the eye. I'm talking to you. And I looked at him. Nah, you ain't talking to me. So the head coach defused and, hey, Dad, we'll talk to you next week about it. Come to my office on Monday, we'll talk about it. Okay. So we said, I'm like, I don't even know what happened. So I tell the coaches what happened because I had forgot about the whole story. 2 weeks later, the parent coming down and say, hey, coach, I want to apologize to you. After listening to the other kids and getting the full story, my child lied and he was wrong. And I just want to apologize to you. And my words to him is, we could have had this conversation when you came in here and I'd have told you exactly what happened. But you came in here wanting to fight. And I didn't think it was right for me to talk to you. Because if we fight, you're going to get jumped on. And it wasn't going to end well for you. You know what I mean? So, and I told the kid, you're going to put your dad in a real bad situation telling stories like that. But instead of the parent coming in and say, hey, coach, let me just talk to y'all, man, and figure out what happened, he come in, this kid got a dad. And you want to get beat up. But because your son told you, I squared up on it. If I squared up on your kid, I'd have sworn first. When I square up, I'm punching. I'm not squaring up to like, baddest man hit my hand. Knock the shit off my shoulder. We ain't going back down. If I have to put my knucks up, we fighting.
Mark, I can.
But that's the parent taking away from adults because can't nobody say nothing to their baby.
Are you ready for this one? I was a school officer. True story. So I'm in this hallway, and I see this kid in conference with a teacher. The kid turns around, spits in the teacher's face.
He did die.
Ooh.
Died on the spot.
I went to work on him. I'm telling you, I did some of my best work that day. Get ready for this. I get called to the principal's office the next day. Guess who put a complaint on me?
The teacher.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
A black female teacher.
Oh, man.
A principal who actually called for me to be placed at that school. So he calls me in the office. He says, Officer Mosley, so-and-so has a concern. So really? And you keep the arrest report, copy the arrest reports and complaints, whatever else. I said, well, what was her complaint? She said you were too rough and that you talked real rude to the kid. I said, did she tell you what the kid did? He said, well, she said that they had some words. I said, no, he spit in her face in front of me. And here's the police report because I arrested this punk ass. The principal looked at me and said, Oh, really? He says, do you know this teacher or do you have any problems with her? I said, no, but I do now. I said, but he said, no, I don't want you to say anything to him. So you damn scared me. I might, but okay. But the fact that a black female teacher got spit on, that I mean, from where I come from, those are fighting words, man. That will get you killed where I come from.
Now,
That's gonna result in the casket somewhere.
When I was in school, the students would beat the kid up.
Yes, right.
We would jump on the kid.
That was
protected our teachers.
Yeah, that's well, he actually did get jumped on by the kids the next day, but I had nothing to do with that one.
So I got a question for you, brothers. I got DVP's input on this. I'm not going to tell y'all what it is, but I just want to see what y'all think. All right. So here's a scenario. This is similar. We talking about these kind of things. Scenario is, I live on the first floor. My family live on the first floor, and there's another family.
I ain't answering this time.
What's that?
Yeah, no, you did this to me before. I know this one.
You know this one, Joe?
Yes.
All right.
Yes. I don't know this one.
It's just for Mark then. All right. Or Joe, you sure you heard it? Sure you heard it? Okay.
I can give you scenario. How about that?
Okay. All right. So I live on the first floor, Mark. And there's another family live on the second floor. And every time I come out the house, I see a couple going up to the second floor. All right. I see these couple every single time. Saw them 3 times. All right. 3 times that I saw them. First time, the girl had a black eye. Second time, the girl had an arm in a sling. And the third time, I think she had like a cast on her arm or something like that. And all the times, like 2 times when she went up, she wouldn't look up. The third time when she went up, she looked me dead in the eye. Right? I came out, happened to be coming out. She going up, she looked me dead in the eye. And you've probably seen this before, where you could tell somebody got a plea for help behind their look. I saw that, man. She ain't had to say no words. I was like, man, she asking for help, right? So, and this when I was young, man, I was virile. I could have done some work on her husband, man, or whoever that dude was, a boyfriend, whatever, right? But I said, nah, I'm gonna chill because I don't know what's going on. I'll just be getting in people's way. So I went and I asked older dude. When I was younger. So I asked the older dude. I said, man, look, this is what I'm seeing, man. I'm not sure if I should get involved in this or not. And he told me, he said, man, don't get involved. I said, why are you saying that? This is a black woman, man. She got a plea she reached out with a plea for help. I see her hurt every single time she come over to visit. And because it was his dad who lived upstairs. And he said, man, if you jump on him, she gonna jump on you. She gonna dislike you. And I thought about that. I had seen, I'm in the world, I'm seeing stuff, and I had seen that a few times. So I'm thinking, yeah, maybe there's some merit to what he's saying, But at the same time, I was dealing with this. Joe was just talking about somebody a man spitting in a black woman's face. Well, I'm dealing with the same thing because this is a black woman that's getting hurt. I don't care if it's a black man hurting her. I don't care who was hurting her. It's a black woman getting hurt. So now I got to deal with the fact that there's a black woman getting hurt and I ain't doing nothing about it. Is it my business? I don't know. Maybe not. You know what I mean? But I happen to see it. So Mark, you see that? You in that situation? You do anything? Or you do nothing? You just keep walking by it? What's your situation, man?
I'm gonna call the police. That's all I can do.
Yeah.
Neighbor upstairs getting beat up.
Yeah.
Hey, go check it out. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's what. Go ahead.
It's crazy. It's crazy because similar situations. It's crazy. I had to stay on the second level because neighbor stayed on the third level, and it was quite a few times. Middle of the night. Boom, 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 boom. No, they fight. You hear the footsteps across the floor back. Boom, 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 boom. The yelling and all that. Then 10 minutes later, they fucking.
Yep.
What do I do? And it became a routine. They fight, they fuck. Do I get involved?
In what? In which one?
So, and that taught me mind your business. Now, if I hear him getting beat up, I'm gonna call the police because your whoever it was right. You jump on him, she's still with him. Now, how you feel?
Right. Oh no,
you.
That was guaranteed to happen. Guaranteed.
And everything else that comes behind you jumping in that situation is going to affect you more than it's going to affect them.
Facts. And
you jump in, you beat him up, and he decided to call the police. She gonna say, "Yep, he came up here and beat him up."
Yep.
You hurt him, you kill him, you getting them charges.
Yep, it's true.
Like I say, I know DVP may be different. If I'm at the gas station and I see somebody she can be getting the hell beat out of her. I'm just gonna call the police. I ain't jumping out to my stop, sir, stop. Nope. I'm gonna call the police. And I'm gonna film it so y'all can see it. Get them, but no, I'm not playing hero. Heroes die in real life.
So Mark, what you gonna do when the police pressure you or ask you to be a reference witness or to give you your information? Are you gonna be like, I don't want no parts of this?
It was him. I'm telling. Get them off the streets. Yeah. They don't need to be on the streets.
My man.
Do you see the criminal? It was him. I grew up in the era. I realized there's a difference between snitching and telling. Snitching, we went and did a crime together. I got caught. Come on, dog. They got us. No. But if I have nothing to do with it, and you did it, is it a reward? Because it was him. It was fun.
He's right.
Right. What it is? 577 tips. 44577 tips. I'm calling. I'm telling. Somebody need to get the money.
Whew. Oh my goodness.
Look, man. Again, when we get to somebody told me before I need to write a book because I can tell you stories. Well, I'm waiting on Mo to help me write. No, but the interesting part is I've actually been in those situations. I used to have an S on my chest when I came on the job. Stop, sir. You could not beat that woman like that. I mean, this guy, man, look, they and this guy had what was called the V cut. And in prison, what happens is because they work out so often, you could tell a person out of prison. I mean, he had a perfect V. And he's we're pulling up. I mean, he's hitting this girl like she's a punching bag. He had to be 6'5". She had to be about 4 feet nothing.
Did you ask her what she do?
Oh, but here it gets better. Here comes the best part. So me and my partner roll up. We're responding to a woman getting beat up on the street. We roll up. Halt, sir. Like I said, I got the S on my chest. I got the cape on my back. You cannot beat her. And I got my nice stick. We beat the dog shit out of this guy. We put all kind of Charlie knots on his head. So we finally get him cuffed off. And he's like, officer, you didn't have to cuff me like, you didn't have to hit me, man. I'd have stopped. Okay. So as I'm talking to him and I'm giving, I got the little stern voice. Yes, sir. You can't beat that woman like that. Next thing I know, I'm seeing lightning bolts. I'm seeing stars. I hear little birds tweeting. This bee done hit me so hard she done left her finger in my face. I can't make this. She hit me so hard I saw stars. She hit me from the back. She came around, whack out. She left fingerprints like this. I'm in the station. I got 5 prints like this on my head. My partner's like, oh man, she done whacked you up, man. I took the cuffs off. I said, hey man, you have at it. We left.
Hey, we just got go ahead, Joe. Finish.
She slapped it. I mean, but we call it's part of the Stockholm syndrome. But I know it's time to go, so let's do what we got to do.
Yeah, so I just say DVP like people to do parting shots, so we're just gonna go around the horn. We start with you, Marq. You got a parting shot, man?
Hey, look here, man. I'm gonna say this, man. I enjoyed talking to you guys today, man. We're gonna have to do it more often. We're gonna have to if we had to pay for them a trip to go to Albany, Georgia. But enjoyed it, man.
Yes, sir.
Definitely got to do it more often.
Yes, sir. Joe Mo?
Hey man, I've enjoyed it. You know, you two, my kind of guys. I mean, my man from Afghanistan, so I'm good. So we gotta do what we gotta do.
Yeah, and I just say, you know, we stood in for DVP. It's a hard act to follow, man. Y'all know that cat, man. He's good with this, you know. But we did our best, and hopefully y'all got something out the show. And I think DVP's back next show, so we'll see y'all next show.
All right, cheese, peace, and chicken grease.
Yes, sir. That's what he say, right? Peace, chicken, and grease, and peace, and whatever, something like that.
Yeah,
y'all know what
peace,
it is.
Chicken grease. We'll see y'all.
Y'all know what it is. Yes, sir.
Later.
All right, good people.